Hello, and thank you once again for joining me here on the channel. Today I wanted to show something I just got in the mail. It is this, my first foray into narrow gauge, which is this little Baldwin Class 1012D tank locomotive. This is the DCC sound fitted version. Why don't we crack it open, I'll show you it and tell you all about it and what this means for my modeling. So before getting into this, why don't I show you my other project that I'm currently working on right now. It's a little bit in pieces at the moment, but you might remember that Roco 210O freight locomotive I picked up at the train show a couple months ago. This is the bare chassis without the boiler, which is kind of right here. Everything's kind of off to the side. I'm going to have it wired up for a decoder. This is an ESU adapter board for a Next 18 style decoder. So that's going to power the lights up front. There are already surface mount LEDs mounted in here with a little bit of micro crystal clear. And then for the motor, I've already replaced the old unit, which is right here. These two prongs went into a motherboard, this motherboard actually. It would sit like that, and that sat in the tender. And that would be the gear. The red gear here would drive the tender wheels because it's a tender drive locomotive. I didn't like the performance of this motor. It was very erratic and inconsistent. So I removed this board. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use this motor anymore. Maybe I could find a use for it in the future, but I'm replacing it with this motor from eBay. I've already replaced the gear. I cut down the shaft there, and this is quite literally the same size as that old motor, so it's a perfect fit. It's just shorter. So I have a lot of space back there. I thought about mounting the decoder back there, but I figured it'd probably be better up front. But I tested this already with the motor mounted, and it's got a very nice smooth, slow speed to it, and I'm very excited to eventually have this one up and running. So here we have the Baldwin Class 1012D. I picked this up from Kernow Model Centre in the UK. They had these on bargain, I think, for £189. And when you remove the extra tax that's added on for products in the UK, it only ended up costing me about £150. With shipping, $200 American shipped. And I figured that was quite a steal for this little tank locomotive, which these have been out for a little while. But I had been considering one for a long time, and I figured I'd probably jump on it while the price was right and just get the sound fitted version. Now this I've already opened up and worked on a little bit and did some running, but to show you what it looks like. I've also fitted the plates, the number plates and the builder's plates, because they come as a separate etched piece. You can see they stick out a little bit. It's a very fine locomotive, very, very nice. Cab detail's great. Speaker is back here. It's a wonder that they could fit sound into this. And of course, if you've seen these before, they have this interesting way of negotiating curves. This back truck wheel is fixed in place while this one can turn. That allows it to not have to interfere with the valve gear. This would be considered an early War Department light railway locomotive. They built about 500 of these, and this one is modeled after one that was sent over earlier in the war. I'd probably say late 1916. And then afterwards, subsequent ones, you'll see these on the other Bachmann models too, have that water hose back here. They might have a few different details, the window shades over the porthole windows up here, a few other minor detail changes, but this one is modeled to look like it's an earlier model, which is perfectly fine by me. It also is missing the rear headlight. This one doesn't have that. So why don't we put it on the track and see how it runs and see how it sounds. I only have a small loop of N-scale track from an old Bachmann train set that I still have and occasionally put up, but that's about the only thing I can have that this thing will run on. So why don't we get to it. So here we have the Bachmann narrow gauge Baldwin trench locomotive on the track. This is just a loop of N-scale track that I have. I figured it'd be good enough for setting up on the counter here and for doing a little running in and for testing the sound functions and features. So I'm going to go ahead and start the sound and run some of it, and we'll see how it sounds. This model by Bachmann just runs so well. It's a nice, smooth, sweet-running little locomotive. It sounds great. The sounds come from a small Next 18 Z-Mode decoder with a custom sound project, I think, built for Bachmann. The running characteristics are wonderful. It has a really nice speed range that is very prototypical. There's not a whole lot of mechanism noise, especially after running in for about an hour or so. It's really gotten quieter. I can definitely see why these were so popular and why Bachmann continues to produce newer narrow gauge models, because they are just so nice and so small and so well detailed. So I have in my mind some ideas for a continuous loop layout featuring the little trench engine here, maybe something with a World War I theme. I also wanted to give a brief shout out to SDJR7F88 for all of his videos on his micro layouts, his World War I inspired trench railway layouts. They've been a tremendous inspiration to me, and I've taken a lot of ideas and I want to incorporate a lot of what he has done into a layout of my very own, starting with this little Baldwin trench locomotive. I'll put a link to his channel in the description below. Definitely check it out. His work is fantastic. The next step is to put ideas down on paper and gather supplies. My hope is to get some wagons for this thing to pull, and eventually some proper narrow gauge track for this to run on as well, some switches, make things a little bit more interesting. And I have some pieces of insulation foam that I'd like to use for a base and for some scenery. So we've got a lot on our plate. I will hopefully have an update soon, but this is the start of something new. Never thought I would get into narrow gauge. You know, it all has to start from somewhere, and this is going to start from here. So I want to thank you all so much for watching, and look out for future updates.